Welcome to 1 Minute Wins with Dr. Dana Martin, the podcast where intentional growth meets practical leadership. One quote, one lesson, one action to help you lead yourself and others better. Let's jump in. Howdy and welcome back to 1 Minute Wins. I am Dr. Dana Martin. Today is number 40, Risk to Grow. And let me start with a leadership truth that makes people very uncomfortable. You cannot grow without risk. I'm going to say that one more time. You cannot grow without risk. And risk takes courage. And you cannot lead without courage. And you cannot stay safe and expect progress. The quote that anchors this conversation today comes from Robert F. Kennedy. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. That's not about recklessness, and it's not about anything other than resolve. Now let's talk about why risk matters and how leaders take it the right way. Growth demands courage and risk. Not blind risk, not emotional risk or calculated risk. Every meaningful step forward carries some level of uncertainty. If the outcome feels guaranteed, you're probably playing too small. The playground is way too small for you. Leaders who avoid the risk don't avoid failure. They avoid growth. Over time, that avoidance becomes stagnation or complacency. Progress always asks a price, and courage is that down payment. I worked with a leader who wanted a promotion, but refused to stretch beyond what they felt comfortable. They did their job well, they stayed in their lane, they avoided mistakes, and because of that, they stayed exactly where they were. When we talked it through, the issue wasn't skill, it was fear of exposure. Yeah. They were afraid of being seen trying something new and different. But once they took ownership of this, I can't go into detail, this high visibility project, one with real risk attached to his name, attached to the organization, their department. But he took ownership and led that project, and everything changed. His visibility, of course, increases, but his confidence grew, and so did opportunity. And that growth followed the courage for them to take that step, to take that risk. Research consistently shows that people who take calculated risk, especially early in their careers, accelerate learning, adaptability, and leadership readiness faster than those who avoid uncertainty. Because risk creates feedback, sometimes unsolicited, but risk creates feedback. And that feedback is what you use to create the growth. No feedback means no evolution of who you are as a person or as a leader. Here's another quote. Do one thing every day that scares you. That's Eleanor Roosevelt. Because fear is not a stop sign. It's often a signal. And not every fear deserves an action, but the right ones point towards growth. So we as leaders, we don't wait for confidence. We build it through action. I've had many moments where the safe option felt responsible. And I've learned something very important. Safety preserves your comfort. Risk opens you up and creates capacity. And every time that I've taken growth steps as a leader, whether it's coaching, speaking, writing, it all required stepping into something uncertain before I felt I was ready. The clarity came after the commitment. Once I spoke that, then confidence followed my actions. With everything that I did, that pattern holds true. That clarity comes after commitment, and confidence follows the action. So, how do we take the right kind of risk? Well, step one, define the upside. What is the positive from this decision? What growth could come from this? Number two, assess the downside honestly. What's the real cost, not the imagined costs and things in your head? What really is the cost? Number three, decide with intention. Don't be impulsive. Don't avoid it. Decide it. And number four, act anyway. Courage shows up when excuses stop. And I know I've heard it said, and you have too, that is that man crazy or is he courageous? Is he brave or is he an idiot? Either way, courage shows up when excuses stop and you take steps forward. And risk doesn't guarantee success, but avoiding it will guarantee stagnation. So, here's the reflection for today. What calculated risk could propel you forward today? Not someday, today. Where have you been choosing comfort over growth? So the action step is very clear today. Take one bold, uncomfortable step right now. Have that one conversation. Make that one decision or commitment. Growth does not respond from stagnation. Growth only responds to movement. Your willingness to take risk sets the ceiling for your leadership. Teams mirror what leaders model. So if you're avoiding risk, they're going to avoid risk too. If you step forward with courage, you're being the example they're going to follow. Culture doesn't form by accident, it forms by example. Thank you for listening to 1 Minute Wins with me, Dr. Dana Martin. If this episode challenged you or you think it might resonate with someone else, share it with a leader who may need that little push. Provide them the encouragement that hopefully you're finding here. And you'll find more resources, coaching opportunities at dmilm.com. And don't forget to check out the 1 Minute Wins book series. You can get that on Amazon. Leaders, try to choose action